Welcome to the kitchen here at Raggedy Hen Farm, and today we're going to be working with jam. One of the first things I ever learned to bake in 8th grade home economics class was a jelly roll, and I think they've fallen out of favor, but they are such a great, quick, impressive, and very easy dessert to make. So we're going to give it a go today, and I'll show you one version of it, but as we go along I'll explain to you how, just by changing out the jam or changing out the cake that you make, you've got a completely different dessert. Okay, so we are going to start making our jelly roll. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to prepare the pan. It's also really easy, and I've already done it, but I'll talk you through it. So you basically have I want to say this is about 15.5 by 10.5 by about an inch. I usually as a cookie sheet, but they're also known as a jelly roll pan if you live in the olden days. I don't know if any of us would know that they're called a jelly roll pan. So I've greased the bottom of it with vegetable shortening, and then I use foil. I think you could use parchment paper or wax paper, but I use foil, and later on you'll see why I use foil. And then I have greased the foil as well, and you'll see I made a little boo-boo here, but it's not going to matter because it's all greased, and you'll see it doesn't matter at all. So I've got it greased on the underside, foil down, grease this so it's all ready when we get the batter made. Okay, this time we are going to make our dry ingredients, or mix our dry ingredients separately. And to start with, you've got a cup of this is organic, unbleached, all-purpose, which is a mouthful. You can just use unbleached all-purpose if that's what you have, or organic if that's what you have. And then we want a teaspoon of baking powder. That's what this is here. About 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And I'm using organic sea salt. And then I'm just going to kind of stir that together. And it's going to wait for us. Okay, now we are going to start with our eggs. I'm using 3 whole, largish, since ours come from our chickens. I don't know what they would be grated if they were actually grated on the farm, but 3 largish eggs. And we're going to beat these slowly until they get all incorporated. And this, you could really easily do this by hand. You'll see as we put it together, there's no butter or oil in this, so it's not like you have to cream the butter in a certain way, so you could really easily do this by hand. So once I get the eggs starting to get kind of lemon colored, and I'm going to take a break and show you what that looks like. See, they're starting to get kind of a lemony color, and they're starting to get mixed together. I'm going to mix them a little bit more before we add the sugar. Okay. Now we're going to slowly add the sugar while it's mixing together. And this is, for those of you who know or don't know, this is basically a sponge cake. All right, it's looking good. I'll show you what it's looking like. Oh, that's how people end up in the hospital. Can you see it? It's a nice, beautiful orangey lemon color. Okay, now we're going to keep it on low. We're adding 1/3 of a cup of room temperature water. And we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And if this is the first video you're watching, this really is vanilla. We get the vanilla beans, we get organic vanilla beans. We put them in here with whiskey or vodka or rum, and let it sit for about 6 weeks. And then, now that this has been going for a while, Periodically I'll add more liquor to it and I'll throw in some more beans. So there's a teaspoon of vanilla. And here's another place where you could definitely make adjustments. You could put a little rum extract, or rum if you wanted to. You could do lemon extract. You could do any different almond extract or hazelnut. Okay, now we are going to add the dry ingredients. And don't be tempted to beat this forever. You're basically just gonna mix this in until it's pretty decently incorporated. And I usually do it until it's almost done, and then I do the rest by hand. So it's not one of those things where you're gonna want to beat it and whip it forever. Okay, and it makes kind of a runny batter. I want to say it's about the texture that you would have if you were making waffles or pancakes. And look how gorgeous that is. I think it's extra gorgeous because we're using our homegrown eggs, but it's still good. And you could make, if you want to look up the recipes, you could make this chocolate if you wanted to, but I'm just making a basic yellow. Okay. How's that? I'm going to tilt it a little bit. Now this can take a little bit of time to do, because if you rush through it, you won't get enough in the corners. Fortunately, we can trim it a little bit, which I'll show you when we get there. And as you can probably imagine, this is not going to take very long to cook because it's so thin. Okay, now I've been preheating the oven to 375 degrees. We're going to pop this in there, and it's going to take about 12 to 15 minutes depending on whether you have a hot oven or not. And when we come back, we'll be taking it out of the oven, and I'll show you what to do with it then, how it starts to become a jelly roll. So we're going to pop this in the oven. I'm going to clean up a little, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, it's time to take it out of the oven. Smells wonderful. So that's what it looks like. And you can see where there is a little bit of brown around the edge. It's not going to be a problem. I'll show you what to do. So before we can take it out of here, we have to prepare our towel. And this is just basically a clean kitchen towel or a tea towel. I'll use this as a sifter. This is powdered sugar. We're just going to put that all over the towel. Keeps it from sticking to the towel. Okay. This is my favorite thing about the videos, is me precariously dangling things in places. Okay, so since we greased this so well, it's going to lift right out of the pan. And then we're just going to put it upside down on this tea towel. Now, this is something I discovered and why I like to use foil. Because when I learned to do it, I think I learned to do it with parchment paper, and you had to try to peel the whole thing back at once, which is a pain in the you-know-what. But the great thing about foil is you can just peel it off in strips, which is so much easier to do. And maybe somebody else has discovered this, so I can't lay claim to it, and I probably discovered it accidentally. But the first time I did it and realized, oh my gosh, this works so much better. It's so easy and it looks so nice. I was like, I'm a genius. There's a little bit of flow right there. And it doesn't matter how tiny the strips are. So you're going to toss that away. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and cut off this kind of crispy edge. You wouldn't have to, but I'm going to because it's a little bit uneven. And I'm working fairly fast because we want to get this rolled up before it gets cool. Okay, and here's where the rolling happens. I like to put just a little bit of powdered sugar on here. I don't know why, just because I do. All right, so we're just going to take this like this, roll it up. You want to make sure you have plenty of edge because that kind of helps hold it together. And it's going to sit like this for about maybe 20 minutes or so until it cools. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to turn it into a jelly roll. Alrighty, we have allowed our jelly roll sponge cake to cool. And you will see it kind of cools in this shape. Don't worry if it sticks a little. That's not a problem. We're going to unroll it. Might be a little messy. No problems. In my dream life, I'm going to have a huge kitchen someday. And I will probably miss my cute little intimate kitchen. Okay. Now, we are just going to spread this with jam. I've decided to use strawberry jam. And this was made this past summer. Got the strawberries, brought them in, made jam right away. You could make a really thick pudding and put it in here. I've seen this with frosting in the middle. That's just too much sweet for me. I know jam is pretty sweet, but at least it has the flavor of fruit as opposed to the flavor of frosting. Okay. And I think I said at the beginning of this video that this is one of the first things, other than like, you know, cookies, that I learned to bake by myself in 8th grade home economics. And I felt like I was the fanciest person ever when I did it. Okay, we're just going to roll it back up the way it was rolled before. Seam side down. I'm going to put it on our plate. How pretty is that? We're going to dust it with a little more powdered sugar. You could frost this if you wanted, but why? Part of what's nice about this is that because it's not overly sweet, you can have it for breakfast, which I am quite known to do. You can totally have it for breakfast, have it with a little cup of coffee, slice it up. It slices in these wonderful little rings. So this is just one of the many recipes using jam. And I think that we've gotten away from some of these easy peasy old-fashioned recipes, and we're just as, you know, we'll go and pay $20 or $30 at the bakery when we could do something really simple that looks lovely and is homemade and is made with fresh ingredients, and we can either just serve it to ourselves, our family, or friends when they come over. So this is how easy it is to make a jelly roll. Thank you for coming by the kitchen here at Raggedy Hen Farm, and we will see you next time here at the crossroads of urban and farm. Thanks. Bye.